also to, oh, I'm recording now. It's to offer spaces for collective learning and to harvest the things that we already know together, like sometimes intuitively, but that bring light to them and learn from it together. And one of the practice I often have almost all the time is to share like all the areas where I'm still not there, you know, all the times I don't take responsibility, all the time that I don't succeed in what in the way that I would love to show up in the world. Also as a way to be able to connect with each other in our, we're all on this journey together, and there's no absolute guru who knows it all. So that would be my take on that question, and I feel very sensitive to that, so I'm feeling grateful you brought it up, Maggie.
Yeah, I would just like to add something as well, because it's quite an interesting topic, and I see it like as a flow in a way. So it's kind of information flows either from me to some participants and from participants to me. So it's kind of, I see it more as an exchange, and I really enjoy using the word facilitating the change. So it's kind of just being there and kind of support something that the change and learning might happen. And I think that just in one, I think it's a Buddhist proverb or saying or something like that. It says that a good teacher learns more from their students than the opposite. So it's kind of just being present and having a flow in two directions is something that I really enjoy.
Thanks, Dimitri. Maggie, I hope that offers you some insight into our approach anyways as a team to this. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I certainly experience every workshop that I give as my own learning, that's for sure. Any other questions right now? Anything you want to bring forward? And as we said, yeah, Petra.
Thank you. Maybe I've got two questions which are more practical. The first one being about the schedule, because there is some logistics to be organized before the training, and the schedule would be really helpful for this. So that's sorry.
Sorry, is your question like, can we share the schedule?
Yes,
ahead
exactly.
of time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do that for sure. Yeah.
I believe it has been said that we should wait till the 15th of February to confirm the flight tickets or bus tickets or anything. So it would be nice if you can share this by the 15th of February because of the pricing, as it might be easier, etc. So that's the first one. And the second one, just in fact, to come somewhere where it gives me some clarity about how it is going to be. It would be really nice if you can share just how the training days will be organized, how we are working, etc. It might be helpful for me to feel more comfortable. Thank you.
Sure, happy to share. And so when you talk about schedule, you mean like when does it start and when does it end, essentially?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and that's something that maybe I could have Ava or Sonia follow up. I think they probably have your email about that. Is that something that Ava or Sonia you could take on? Sharing that with Petra? I mean, in general, we start on the, I believe on the Friday evening. Is that right? There's generally registration and we have our first session in the Friday evening, our first get together. And then we end on the Sunday morning, 10 days later by 12, I think is generally the ending point. Yeah, well, we do try to recommend you not have to rush out on the Sunday because you're going to be saying many goodbyes, and but we also recognize that that's just life, and people do need to get back to their lives after so much time away. Generally, the flow I can share, the daily flow begins, and we haven't totally, every IIT is slightly different, but every day it's called an intensive because the days do tend to be quite intense. There are usually 2 or 3 session times during the day, and each of those will have multiple offerings during those session times. So each trainer will generally offer something each session time. So a lot of the challenge or the wonderful abundance of an IIT is that you are constantly choosing which session to go to, which trainer to visit. And so there will be 2 or 3 session times during the day, broken up by meals. And one of the special features of IITs is that we create home groups. So these are small groups of participants that you are with the entire time, and you have a time every day to check in with your home group and talk to each other. And that really speaks to Miriam, what she's talking about around the peer learning that happens in IITs. I find what's the most special about IITs is the connections you make. So this is a chance to connect more deeply with your home group. And your home group can decide to do whatever they want to do, whether it's give each other empathy, go for a walk. It's really directed by you. And the other feature of an IIT is that we have community time, usually in the morning and in the evening. So we start the day with some community time and we end the day with some community time. And then our evenings often involve offerings from participants. The trainers don't offer anything in the evenings generally, but participants are welcome to offer things. We find that there's such a wealth of experience and knowledge within our participant group that they want to offer their own things, and that's a time that we usually welcome participants to offer their own things. Miriam, did you want to add something?
I just want to quickly talk about the home groups. I find also that's one feature that is really amazing about IITs. And the last home group I was part of the last IIT in Slovenia, we're still connected and we have regular calls all together. And it's been so special to continue that connection with them. It's been one of my highlight of that IIT is to get together and to support each other in that deep way with each other. So yeah, it's a way also to stay connected to people who are really passionate about NVC and get that ongoing support after those 10 days. You know, some people stay in connection and cultivate that relationship and network of support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, does that answer your question, Petra? Does it give you a sense of it? There's other special things that happen. We usually have some kind of no talent show at the end, and some sharing from people all around the world that are doing NVC. But I think what I'll do is I will follow up with our organizing team, and how about we'll send out a special email to our registrants just saying, here's sort of what we're imagining our daily flow is going to be like, and the schedule, just so you have a sense of it and give people a taste of what they're in for. Okay. Thank you so much for those questions. It's really great to hear your questions. And again, there's more chances to ask questions later. And if you even want to just pop questions into the chat, we can always answer those as we go along as well. So let's shift into our offerings as trainers. And so Miriam and I are going to start by offering something around gratitude. But first, we wanted to also just sort of talk a little bit about maybe why we're grateful to NVC and what a bit of our own approach and our own passion for NVC, where it comes from. Miriam, I wondered just to bring in your voice here a little bit more, if you wanted to share a little bit about yeah, how does NVC serve you in your life?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I wanted to bring in like a couple of areas that are very like with very concrete examples lately of how, I mean, I feel grateful to NVC. I feel every single day of my life because I don't see one day where it's not helping me in so many ways. One of the big ways is in my relationship to myself. I feel so grateful in how in the last 10 years I have grown so much compassion for myself, where I feel that even when things are happening that just don't go my way, or where when I act in ways that I don't enjoy, that the capacity to go back to self-understanding, self-compassion, welcoming all the parts of me is really tremendous in a daily basis. I wanted to share with you an example of parenting lately that made me really grateful for NVC. I was coming back from skiing with my son, and he had to decide quickly whether he would stay with his friends for the evening or come back home with me in the car. And he just couldn't decide. And I was telling him, "Hey, I need to go now. You need to decide. You have 2 minutes to decide." And I tried to support really quickly to make a choice. And at the end, when we were in, he decided to come with me. But he was in the car and he was feeling very emotional and he started crying and he was like, "I really didn't know what to do." And I really had at that moment really the capacity to just be with him in empathy and welcome, like tap into my own experience of those moments where you just struggle to choose and it's so hard and you see those two options and you're just like, I don't know which one I want, and how hard of an experience that is. And I was just able to be with, like, reflect back to him in empathy of like, yeah, that was so hard for you. You had to choose in such a short amount of time. I just gave you 2 minutes to choose and you couldn't decide. And now it is all those emotions that come up about the intensity of having to make that choice. And maybe like you're just grieving that, that other choice was also great and now you're not going to be able to do that. And just the capacity as a parent to be there for our children through what they're experiencing without trying to fix it, without, um, giving them a lesson or anything, but just tapping through our own experience as adults too of being in a similar situation. It was a really rich experience for me. And it happens regularly. I just wanted to give you a very concrete example how it can show up. Um, Another example I want to share with you that I feel really grateful for is the Mitch and I have been quite involved in our own community here in Nanaimo, supporting friends through conflict. And sometimes it's been supporting. Recently, I had a friend who separated from another friend and held space in community for a dialogue between them after they had separated, for how we were going to hold that in community, because it has impact on them and on all the community, because when two people separate and they're still part of the group of friends. And so just using those skills to support that transition for them and for our community. But also more recently, two of our friends were in a conflict and it was affecting everybody. So again, like offering the whole space for them to navigate their friendship and then seeing them afterward, like so grateful to have been able to talk it out with support. So I think I'm also naming that to in relationship to the question you asked, Maggie, is like, for me, my dream is that NVC is supporting us through conflict in community, where we gain capacity to not ask for like a professional highly expensive mediator to come in, but where we develop the skills to do that for each other, to hold space for somebody to understand themselves deeper, to hold space for two friends who are struggling in their relationship, and that we cultivate uh, that capacity to be in conflict together and to support each other through conflict that is just unavoidable in any community. So yeah, maybe just wanted to share two examples of my gratitude for what NVC is bringing me into my life. And I just want to say one link to the IIT I was sharing in our small group is that I find the IIT, in my experience, was really inspired me because it was a space where that was happening. We were facing a conflict in a home group. We were facing a conflict with another participant. And we had a whole community there to support us to engage in the conflict in a way that maybe in our life, in our friends group, we just avoid it because we're like, we don't feel we have the skills or we don't feel we have the support. But here, because during 10 days, conflict will happen. It's unavoidable. You put 60 to 100 people in the same space for 10 days, there will be conflict. And it's great because it's a space where, and I've had that experience multiple times. I had a conflict with a participant. I got empathy from another person, and this person also got empathy. And then we got together and we're able, and also ask to somebody to hold the space for us to work through that conflict. And so it's an amazing space to really build that hands-on, like real life, capacity to engage in challenging relationships in a community that really believes in that it's possible and that has the skills to support us to do it. So that's the link that I would like to make for the NVC and the IIT, and how the IIT helped me the multiple IITs I've been to help me develop those skills to be able to do that in my community here in Nanaimo. Yeah.
Thank you, Miriam. I feel inspired by the examples you shared. And I'm super grateful that you and I have been able to offer that to our community and touch into the power there of that kind of deprofessionalized helping that we can give. And I think when I think about NVC, the one thing that comes to mind, especially around gratitude and the power of NVC, is this paradigm shift that we go through with NVC of the idea that all of us love to contribute to each other. That's natural human. It's natural for all humans to want to contribute to other people in some way. To me, this was such a gigantic shift because I, like all of you, was raised in a culture where it was competitive and it was win-lose, and it was like, how do I get what I want, and and not think about what other people want, or the reverse. How do I give away everything and not get what I need? But this idea that we naturally want to give to each other, that we have a natural compassion towards each other, has been so powerful in my life. And, the ways that Miriam shared around how when two or more people start to believe that within a community, what kind of energy that can bring to a group, where we are all focused on that interdependence of giving to each other. What I love about NVC2 is that it allows me to really, I love the positive focus about NVC. I love the positive focus. It enriches my life. It is life affirming. It gives me sort of the juice I need to go through my days, when I can always return to these beautiful energy of needs and this beautiful idea that there is enough to meet my needs and everybody's needs around me, and that I'm in a flow of giving and receiving all the time. So I've been thinking about this in relation to gratitude and how we think about gratitude in our lives, and giving thanks and thanking the people around us. I know before I started NVC, I don't think it was a go-to for me to really express gratitude a lot. I think I did not. I grew up in a pretty critical family. They didn't. They kind of focused a lot on the negatives. But with NVC, I had a real shift into like focusing on where are the things that are meeting my needs in my life, and how can I, in some sense, nurture them and grow them. And one of the practices that I find is this giving of gratitude in an NVC way. And that's different than praising somebody or rewarding them in some ways. It's more about a kind of feedback that we can give to people, with the emphasis on feeding. We're feeding these things that people do in our lives. We're feeding our relationships by adding this positive energy that NVC is so good at creating in a very specific way, in a way that's really going to give back to this person who is given to us in some ways. So I'm just checking the time here. Let's just have within our big group, I'd love to hear from one or two of you. What's your experience of giving gratitude or appreciation? What's your experience of it? What is it? Is it something hard for you? Does it come naturally? Do you want more and more of it in your life? Just love to hear a little bit about where you are with this experience of gratitude. One thing I'll share about my own experience of gratitude is that sometimes I crave it. I crave a lot of it. I know that when I get gratitude, I really feed on it. And sometimes I find it hard to receive. I find it hard to receive sometimes. I find if somebody says to me, that was so wonderful what you did. I have a voice in my head that sometimes says, oh, no, wasn't that wonderful? I don't feel that wonderful right now. So it's sometimes, or it was just that thank you. It doesn't somehow land for me. So one of the things that we want to do with NVC is find ways that we can really offer something to somebody that they can truly accept as theirs, and own as their own experience as well. So I think what I'm going to offer right now is a NVC framing of gratitude, how to give gratitude in an NVC way, and then we're going to do some practice with each other quickly. We're going to give you a chance to think about something you feel grateful for, somebody you feel grateful to, and frame a form of gratitude using NVC as a frame. So what I would like you to do now is for everybody just to think about something that's happened to you in the last week, in the last month, some sort of special moment where you felt like you really got something out of something somebody did. And I'm just going to use an example. My son is 17. My youngest son is 17. And he's a very independent guy. And he's a teenager. He's got his own life. But the other day I was feeling kind of low, and he just came over and gave me a hug before he headed to school. It was very rare for him to come give me a hug. And I don't know, that just meant a lot to me. So that's a moment that I have that I feel very grateful for. So everybody think of, does everybody have a moment they can think of? Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen now. Miriam, and please feel free to jump in with any thoughts you have about this. No, okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share a quick example of how we frame gratitude in an NVC way. Here we go. Where did it go? Here we are. So, how can we make our gratitudes even more powerful, even more nurturing, even more feeding as a form of feedback to the people we're giving gratitude to? So NVC gratitude, we want to think about the specific observation, what the person actually did, any feelings that we have about it, and the needs that we were attended to. And as many of you know, in NVC, we have this frame of observation, feelings, needs, and requests that we use as a kind of guidelines and ways to start teasing apart our experience. But we don't necessarily want to talk like that, because talking like that can make us sound like some kind of communication robot. So more and more, we want to just try to naturalize what we're saying. So we're going to have a chance to try that as well. So the example that I have shared here, an observable might be something like, I came home and the floor was all swept. So there wasn't any messes or pine needles or anything on the floor. There's this typo here, should say floor, not flower. And how did I feel when I observed that? I felt content and relieved. What were the needs that were attended to? Support, care, freedom, space. So I want to tune into those things inside myself. And when I offer the gratitude, I want to somehow build those into what I'm offering without it sounding, we want it to sound as natural as we can. So it could be something like, wow, the floor looks so clean. I'm really happy. I had a hard day work and now I can relax and I really appreciate the support. Something like that. And if you can imagine what that's like to receive that positive feedback, gratitude as a form of positive feedback for what we're doing, that I know for me, because I live with my son and I end up doing most of the, as a single dad, and I end up doing a lot of the cleanup. That would actually feed me a lot and inspire me to do more and help me realize that I am contributing to somebody else and how meaningful that is. So any questions about that? And I can also share this handout with you if you like. Actually, I'm not seeing everybody's screen, so I'm just going to stop my share here. So what I would like to invite you to do is just take 3 minutes to, on your own, write down a gratitude you have. So start with your observation, the feelings you had associated with that, and the needs that were met. Write that down. And then we're going to do a quick pairing up and you get a chance to role play that a little bit. Just basically, you're going to just say your gratitude to the other person as if they were that person you want to give gratitude to. Okay, so 3 minutes on your own. Let's write out a gratitude. And if you finish your first one, we can do more. There's no limit, but I'll set my timer for 3 minutes. And then I'll call you back once you've written out your gratitude. And please send a question in the chat if you need to ask any questions. Okay, that's 3 minutes. So I'm going to put you into pairs at this point, I think. And what my instruction is just to tell the other person who they represent. You don't need to tell them much of the story, but just express your gratitude to that person as if it was, so for instance, if it was my son and I was partnered with Miriam, Miriam would just be my son and I would share my gratitude with her. I don't think there's any need for feedback. It's just a chance to speak it out loud and say it, and maybe have a bit of reflection afterwards. But we're going to do this very quickly in like 2 minutes. So this is as if you're just turning to the person beside you. So I'm going to put you into breakouts right now. And there might be one group of 3, just so you know. Okay, here we go.
And on top of that, I would actually love to give you a little bit of money because I know I have some. I know you need this, but that.
Hi, Liv. Just coming out of breakout rooms here. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Just want to say a quick welcome to Liv Larson, another one of our trainers who's joining us after another training that she was in. And Liv, we're just almost done our first offering here on gratitude. Miriam, did you want to lead a bit of a debrief before we move on to Dimitri's offering? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious to hear, yeah, how's the energy after doing that? How was it for you? If anybody wants to share a little something about what was your experience of sharing the gratitude in that, with that kind of like consciousness of the needs that were met, how did it feel? If anybody wants to share, and just one voice would be great.
I'm happy to share, Miri. I'm very new to NVC, and it's really nice to. I think sometimes when we say thank you, it's sort of it's lost a lot of the meaning. So I think when you break it down into something, how you feel, what needs are being met for yourself, and also what specific action that the other person have done to show that gratitude, it show intention. I think that's quite important. Because I think sometimes when you talk about thank you, in the UK and other people, sorry and thank you is quite often said without any meaning. So I think sometimes, at least in the English language, I find so I think being able to practice, it felt unusual. I think it doesn't feel very natural, especially because I don't know Tony very well, and he doesn't know me very well, and we're pretending to be sharing some things, and that's one of my fear and reservation about the experience because I don't know any of you, and I could be sharing something that is quite personal to me. But I guess it's a safe space. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I hear that for you. It was a pretty new experience in some ways, like the format of it, and also the experience of sharing it with somebody you don't know at all, and this kind of like suddenly intimate space with a complete stranger. I just want to share something about that, Joe. My experience has been with NVC over the years, a growing comfort with that, and that's my personal experience, but also sometimes actually really liking sharing things with people who are completely outside of my life and who have not, connection or pre-existing ideas of anything, and who are competent and skilled at listening and at supporting me going deeper, has actually been a really rich over the years experience with strangers in some ways. So I just wanted to share that with you, that in my case the comfort grew over the years of doing that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think I'm still getting used to feeling comfortable sharing about my needs because I think from a cultural perspective, it's not something that I often express.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes all sense. And you're probably not the only one here. Sharing our needs is not necessarily something habitual. Yeah. Okay, I think maybe we can stop here. I hope that it was a positive. We just, with my partner, we decided we're gonna try to express our gratitude to the actual person today. So a little commitment. Just an idea. If some of you have prepared it anyway, so it's ready to go. Why not? Why not share it with the person that it was directed to? Yeah, bring it back to you, Mitch.
Thank you, Miriam. Just want to say my gratitude to all of you for showing up and coming. I was not sure anybody would come, so this is great to see a nice group here of people, and what it brings to me is just a sense of energy around this IIT and excitement. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna hand off the talking stick here to Dimitri. So here you go, Dimitri.
Thank you, Mitch. And also thank you for the gratitude exercise. It's kind of, I say when I do the workshops and we do the gratitude, I say, if you forgot everything and you just remember the gratitude part, you have learned a lot. It's kind of, it's really, really important topic in life and in NVC as well. And we are not using it. We just, oh, NVC is so great for the conflicts and stuff. Yeah, just wanted to share that before I start. Yeah, so I prepared a little bit of an embodied or, yeah, just experiential session that I'm going to offer you right now. It's going to be a short one, and then we're going to share a little bit afterwards. And we're going to just try to put our attention into different places. So I will guide you through the exercise, kind of hopefully slowly, and just try to navigate your attention to a certain things that I'm going to invite you through my exercise. So I'm just inviting you to sit comfortably. And it's an invitation that you choose one person. It's probably one person with the camera, and you don't name it. You don't tell that person that you're using it, and you can always use me, but it's also invited. You can use someone else. And yeah, so this will be your silent partner, this exercise. So whoever you choose, I hope you managed to choose one so far. And yeah, it's just an invitation to try to follow my instructions slowly. Yeah, first of all, I would like you to put your attention and look at this person. Just put all of your attention to looking to your silent partner. Oh, now all your focus is put into your eyes and looking to that person. I'm now inviting you to try to feel your body. So just try to check your body, put all your attention into your body and scan what is alive in you, just from neck, shoulders, back, chest, slowly down to your feet. Oh, hope you managed to find something in your body. And now I would like to invite you to switch your attention to try to sense or guess the needs, the feelings of the other person. So about your silent partner. Just try to sense somehow. Use intuition and see how this person that you choose for your silent partner can be feeling right now. Maybe you can make some silent guesses inside of you. Just sensing, guessing, how is that other person feeling right now. And slowly, I would like to invite you to move your attention and just listen if there is any sound around you. So just try to identify all the sounds that are at the moment around you. And choose one sound, and put all your attention into that sound. And slowly, I invite you to put up your left hand and just look at your left hand. Just observe. Put all your attention into your left hand. All your focus, all your attention is at your left hand. So I would like to slowly invite you to just focus on my voice. Just listen and try to put your attention on what I'm saying at the moment. What I'm saying, how I'm giving you instructions, to just listen my voice. And just try to keep your attention on my voice. All the focus is at the moment focused on what I'm saying, the instructions that I'm giving. And slowly, I'm inviting you to guess my needs. Just try to identify, is there any need might be alive in me right now? So you can just sense it, try to use your intuition. You don't have to really logically understand it. Just, try to sense and guess inside of you what needs might be alive in me right now. Okay, and now again, I will try to invite you to go back to your left hand. You don't have to move it. Just put your attention, how is your left hand feeling? So just put all your attention into the feelings of your left arm, left hand. You can also maybe try to close your eyes while doing it. Just focus deeply, just on that sensations that you're sensing and feeling in that left hand. Okay, so now I'm slowly inviting you to try to connect to your needs. So try to connect to whatever is alive in you, met or unmet. So just find the needs that you can sense at the moment and connect to it. And it might change. It might be one need at this moment, and a couple of seconds later it might be a different need, or it's still the same. Just stay with you for a little while and try to connect to it. And slowly try to move your attention and send silent blessing to one person. It can be in this group, but if you don't want it, it can be someone in your life. You want to just send some silent blessing. It can be like, may you be happy, I wish you health, whatever blessing means for you. Just send silent blessing to one person in your own way. And put all that attention on that. And slowly move your attention again to your silent partner in this exercise. And just try to sense, to intuit, to guess the needs of your silent partner. Just try to kind of, go into that sensing. How can it be to be in the shoes of the other person? And just pay attention on your body. Is anything alive in that sensing moment? And now I would like to invite you to put your attention on your breath. Just focus on how are you breathing in, breathing out. Just sense what kind of air is it that goes into your body, and how is it when it goes out. And don't try to changing, just observe it. Observe your breath. Put all of your attention into your breath. And slowly, I'm inviting you to find an ending of what you are doing. Just take a couple of moments to just come back to here and now. And if your eyes are still closed, you find your own way and pace to slowly open them. Hey, welcome back. I'm really curious how this exercise was for you, and I would really enjoy hearing maybe one or two voices or three voices. How was this exercise for you?
Well, I'll share it, Dimitri. It was like drinking a glass of water somehow for me. So I felt it refreshing and calming and thirst quenching.
Thank you. Anyone else willing to share? Rinka.
So felt more relaxed in a sense of coming here and now, and also getting more into how am I right now. And I love the simplicity, and also I still kind of echo the blessing for the other people, for the other person. So that's what I appreciate a lot. Thank you.
The blessing really touched you with this exercise. Thank you. Okay, one more person.
Can I say something random? While I was doing the exercise and relaxing, I got a text from my mom, and it's one of those chain texts. And it basically says, today is the day of blessings, as well as whole of next week. So bless someone, share these blessings, and so on. And it was actually happening while you were doing the exercise. So I don't know. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so.
I'm guessing the universe aligned. And a lot of messages coming with the same thing. Yeah, it's great. That's lovely to hear. Yeah, why I was choosing this exercise to share with it. It's one of my favorite exercises, just to see where our attention goes, and especially those of you who are already familiar with NVC, you know that we have at one point we are offering empathy to someone, and then we all focus our attention to the need of the others, how the other person is feeling and needing. And at this point, it's really important that we manage to find we put our attention into that other person. So it's not so important at that moment, our needs are a little bit put on the side. And then at the other moment, we really want to express what is alive in me. So I really want to come out with honesty. And at this point, I need to focus on what is alive in me. And always, and quite often, there are some sounds around it. And if we put our attention to the sound, it's nice. So we can hear some birds singing really nicely. But at the same time, we are probably not listening to the other people speaking. We might not be so much connected to our needs, or we are. It depends. But when we put our focus on something, so it's really getting our attention. And it usually, I say it grows somehow. So if I put attention on your need will be cherished. Your need will be taken care of. And if I put it on mine, it's my need that it's taken care of. And so it's really important that at some point when we are doing different kind of either communication or interacting with other people, that we know that we can direct our attention. So we can change, even if we have some strong emotions in me, I can change and put my attention to the others. Okay, so that will be my part. And thank you for being part of that. And I'm giving it back to Mitch if you have something else, or we give it back to Delin.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dmitry. Yeah, I want to welcome Liv Larson again. Hello, Liv.
Hi,
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. And it's always kind of nervous when you're coming into a call that already started.
Yeah.
What is it that I can do and what have you done and so on.
Yeah, well, I'll hand it over to you. And we did want to make sure that we had a little bit of more time for questions at the end of whatever you share. So just to let you know that. But take it away.
Yeah, I was actually wanting to connect us to the need to learn. Why do we want to learn something about conflict? Why do we want to learn something about communication? Why do we want to learn something about connection? So I want to use the chat, and I would like to have as much input as possible in the chat. And I'm going to ask you a few questions, and whenever you like to share in the chat, I like you to write in the chat, and I like you to also read in the chat. So when you read in the chat, or you might also look at the person who wrote it, just to kind of connect to it. So first of all, I'd like you to kind of come back to yourself. Where are you? Maybe you're living alone. Maybe you're living with a pet. Maybe you're living with a family. And I'm curious, is there any learning that you imagine would enhance that quality of life in your smallest family? You don't need to write anything in the chat yet, because I also want you to kind of expand and see, maybe you have a work, or maybe you study, or maybe you're doing stuff outside your home. Is there any learning that would be of benefit there? Like just imagining what would be great to know about communication and conflicts and connection when it comes to what you do in the world outside your home. And then I'd like you to expand even more. This is going fast, I know, but I just want you, maybe you stop at your home and you say that this is what most important, but also expanding to a larger vision or a larger world. What is there in the world that you imagined, if you could learn something about communication, about connection, and about conflict, that it would be worthwhile? Because the world looks the way it does right now. So connected to all that, I'd like to ask you and to write in the chat, what is important for you to learn about communication, conflict, and connection? what is there that you would enjoy learning? And maybe there's one sentence, maybe there's two sentences, but just catch something. This would be great for me to learn more about. And I try to stay silent for a few minutes just for us to write in the chat and read in the chat. So I wrote one myself. Maybe you're all too shy to write something. I don't know. But please do if you feel inclined to, just for us to have a sense, what are people wanting to learn? So to care for my needs with more sensitivity, or how to express myself without anger and judgment and accusation. Yeah, pretty crucial. To transform my judgment towards my son, to love him unconditionally. Yeah, I will put that in on my own as well. I would like to learn how to keep myself while being part of the whole. Yeah. How can I be an individual and still care for the collective? Yeah, to connect more to what is alive in me every day. Yeah, wouldn't that be great if we all could do that? And to be patient in listening. Yeah. Thank you. And whether you wrote something in the chat or not, or if you're just thinking about, this is something I would like to learn about, I like you to check in. What needs are you hoping that this learning would meet? Like learning this, what need of yours would be met by learning it? I like you to also use the chat to write that. What needs are you hoping that, wow, I learned this and now this need is actually being met? So need to care and show compassion for oneself, relief, peace, how to build and maintain or nurture connection. Yeah. I guess that's the answer to the first question. No? And what needs, Bianca, are you hoping that that would meet? In learning how to build and maintain or nurture connection. Connection, contribution to his self-love. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. And I hope you're finding what needs of yours that you're hoping that learning this thing would meet. And now I'd like you to just focus on the need that you found, the need that you would like to meet. And I wonder in what way would that enhance your life quality, having that need more met? In what way, just walking through life and having your need for integrity met, for example, what would that bring you to have that need met? In what way would that enrich you to kind of have tools or experiences with having needs met? What would that give you? And please write that in the chat. Not to be weighed down by with blame, shame, and guilt. Love. Yeah. And please read in the chat and just connect it also to the person. I read the need for belonging would give a sense of ease. And I wrote myself, I would have more energy and peace. I would be proud of myself and feel content. Wow. I would feel more peaceful and trusting. And maybe some of the words that you're seeing is also your words. So you can always borrow each other's words for needs. So now when we looked at that, I want you to check with yourself. Are there any requests to yourself or to others that arises from this? Is there something you would like to request of yourself to do? Or is there something you would like to request of someone else? Maybe someone else that is here in this call, maybe a friend, maybe a spouse, maybe a workmate. Is there anything you would like to request that would help you learn this and that would help you meet those needs in this way and that would help you have this life quality? Is there anything that you can kind of direct your energy towards with a request to yourself and others? And if so, please write that in the chat. Let us all learn from each other and have a sense of what those requests might be. So to practice connecting to myself on a daily basis. Yeah, that's a beautiful request. To kind of request to oneself that at least once a day I will do something that would work on that connection towards myself. To find a companion to exercise it with, yes, to kind of ask around, to make requests to have someone to practice with. And to continue learning NVC and sharing what I learned with others, to request that of oneself. Whoa, giving myself more grace. I would love to hear more about that when we open up. I want to know what that, it sounds yummy, so I want to hear more about that later. Any other requests you would like to make of yourself or others in the chat so far? And then as you've done this little exploration and you go back to what you first thought of, this is something I would like to learn. Is that the same now? Would you verbalize it the same? Are you still wanting to learn this? Are you wanting to learn it even more, or has it shifted in some way? Just check. Is that what you're longing to learn or hoping to learn? Is that changed in some way, or is it the same, or is it stronger? So with that little exploration, I would like to open up to hear a few voices. As I came in late into the call, I would love to hear from just like real voices, not just in words, even if I love words, being an author. I also love words spoken. Anything, want to share anything about what you explored, or maybe even if someone got stuck somewhere, not finding the needs behind it? And of course, Jerome, I'm also very curious about your giving myself more grace. If you're willing to let me know what that means, because I love the sentence.
Yes, I think it's just something I've been thinking of. And when you asked me what was, well, I think your last question about how I would revisit the first question, and I think it's more about self-awareness, um, having a more understanding of how I would behave in different situations with other people in my family, or even outside of the family environment. Um, but I think what my need was, what I was referring to was the need to be less, I guess, critical, but then not to carry around the blame, the shame, the guilt from a lot of the conversation, even at home or other things that myself. So that's the reason why where the grace comes in. So I think there's a certain element, there's a devil on one side that's kind of, beating the stick, and then I think equally there's another part that has to offer myself some more space and some grace just to balance that out.
Thank you. Yeah. And I guess even the devil in your situation, even the one with the stick, has a beautiful need, but that's another story that we can look at as well. The beautiful needs behind wanting you to grow or whatever it is, but the wish to have more grace, to have more space around just being allowed to be who you are, I guess. Yes, beauty in itself. Who else wants to ask, share, or complain? Protest is also allowed.
The exercise was very interesting. And again, I was the one on connecting with myself on a daily basis. So I think it would be very useful to do this more often.
Yeah.
I felt a bit also when we were, I felt a bit of unease to go in, and then I felt a need to disconnect, and then again to connect. But it's very useful. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought of what I wanted to spend some time on with you guys, and when I went to my first IIT, I actually got so hooked into it that I went to 3 IITs in 7 months. I'm very overwhelmed, but still, I just wanted to learn this, and I was not getting it. And for the third IIT, I wrote a long list of all the things I wanted to learn. And this was with Marshall, he was around. So I thought I had one list of all the things I wanted to ask Marshall to hear his view on. I had a long list of things I wanted to practice, like role play or practice in different ways. And then I had a whole list of things I wanted to nurture myself with, things I wanted to make sure I stood up for and harvested and gave to myself. So for me, whether you come to the IIT or not, to me, to every now and then stop and kind of do this. What is it that I'm hoping to grow in, to learn in, to have more of? To allow myself to be greedy for a moment, say, I want all of this. And then from that, like maybe pick one thing that I want to nurture extra, especially, and bring in. not to overwhelm myself. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this exercise, that I think it's really valuable to nurture this dream of learning or growing or hoping and creating ourselves again and again. Yeah. Anyone else that want to share before we open up for any overall questions, I guess, if I understood right?
Yeah, I'd like to share. um, when you asked at the end if something changed, I realized that when I was thinking of all my answers and what I want to learn and how important this is to me, I kind of felt it, I felt it very heavy. And then when you asked if something changed, it's like I felt this ease, because I realized that what I really need and what I really want is to be less critical to me, to myself. And when I was listening to Jerome, I was like, yes, that's it. And giving myself more grace is like a sentence where I really heard myself in also. So something did change, and I felt kind of easier. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this IIT, because the theme is embodiment, and I hope you'll be talking about it some more now. Because I'm not a person who is very focused on their body. So even to notice anything about myself in this way is great progress for me.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, that the heaviness changed, and then having the curiosity, like, how come? And keep looking for it. And the body will, of course, be part of the answers. Like, and I remember many times in IITs where I've been, where people kind of struggle with the self-criticism of not learning fast enough. Like the whole thing of us going through school where we are supposed to learn and be good students and progress and beat ourselves up, or someone else would beat us up if we don't learn fast enough. And to kind of come back to that learning, the curiosity of learning and the hunger to learn that was there probably when we were 2 or 3 or 4, where we just wanted to learn about life and about new things, and that so many of us has lost, and that where learning becomes heavy instead of a beauty, like something that will lift us rather than sink us down into the ground. So I'm thank you, Eva. It was beautiful to that you noticed that little difference. Yeah. And to me, embodiment is that it's not so much that we need to move or we need to be in our bodies, but to when we want information, to not forget the body, to kind of see that we are all the time traveling in this, I don't know how many cells we do have, but thousands of cells that kind of we are traveling through life in, and to make sure we integrate that, to make sure we use that, to make sure that that is our basis of connection and communication. So I love that you brought that in. Thank you, Eva. Anyone else that want to say something before we see if there are any open-ended questions?
Yeah, maybe I'd just like to share that I felt touched by the two last sharing, because my reflection was around my relationship to my son. And that's something that I'm reflecting a lot right now on, how a lot of the self-critical voices that we have inside of us come from the critical voices we have heard growing up. And so at the same time as I'm trying to create a lot of self-compassion around my capacity or incapacity sometimes in my own judgments, I think that it became recently quite a priority of the more I have a capacity to love my child, you know, in every way that he shows up, the more I am supporting his capacity to do that for himself. So it's kind of like that deep desire for growing that capacity. Yeah. So I just wanted to name that because of that connection of like the way we relate to ourselves and how we are towards. I feel so much care for supporting all of us as a society and the way we are relating to children, because that's will have so much impact in the way they're capable of self-love, right? Yeah.
Well, that's the future garden. So we better water it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so is there anything we want to address as we're together? Or do you have all your questions answered?
Like it. Well, very grateful for all of you who stuck through this or stayed with us for the full 2 hours. Really appreciate that. And yeah, this is your chance now. If you want to know anything about us as trainers or a little more about the IIT, Liv, one of the things we shared earlier was we shared about kind of the format and how the day flows at an IIT. Liv, I don't know how many IITs you've done, probably a lot.
I don't know either.
Lost count. So
Well,
obviously there's something about, yeah, IITs, you obviously keep coming back. So I'm curious what it is that keeps you coming back. Why do you enjoy them so much?
I enjoy it so much because it is like a mini experiment of how humans can live together, like a
Yeah.
small experiment in eating together and being in the same place and taking decisions together and learning together and moving together. It's quite rare for many people to have like an experiment where they can really study the experience as it goes and harvest a lot of learning from it, harvest a lot of things that then can then go into their lives. And I hear that again and again from people who've been at IITs, that they come back and that they tell me, I meet them somewhere else and they said that really made a difference. And what else can we want to spend our days on if not trying to enrich life in whatever way we can?
Yeah, beautiful. Jerome was wondering, what was it like the first year going to 3 IITs?
It was very overwhelming and very rewarding. I mean, I had the time. I didn't have kids at the time, and I had the possibility to do it. So, um, but I'm not sure if I was able to integrate in between as much as I'd like. We are different in that way, like different people. And one thing I noticed, and it's such a difference now, is that the first IIT, there were 11 days at a time. And the last days, I still couldn't get it. What was this empathic listening? It was like I was struggling to kind of get that. What is it? It's not just listening, and it's not giving advice, and it's not being smart about what I'm hearing. It's not, it was all, I kind of peeled off what it's not. And even the last day, I was like, I must be stupid. Everyone else seems to get it. And I said, I need to go to another one because there is something there that, and of course, I know now that you can always go deeper into what empathy is. You can always explore that more and more. It's not like now I know it and it's done. And there is always new and fresh insights. But at the time, I didn't know. So I was like, there is so much that I can learn. So I was just deciding that I'm going to spend all my resources and all my time just try to do this. And then after the third IIT, I just decided, well, this is what I'm going to do as a work. And I kind of I had lots of different contracts that I just said, okay, I'm going to stop doing that, I'm just going to focus on this. So I was very hooked. Am I answering your question, Jerome?
Yes, it's my first IIT. So, and I think from what I've spoken with other people is also their first time with IIT, but going to an IIT. Um, so, so it's interesting to hear some experience about your first time going to IIT and what to expect.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick note about the theme that we have about embodiment, and I welcome the other trainers to chat about this too. But Ava, you're sharing about somebody who's not generally sort of tuned into your body. I think that's a very common experience. It certainly was for me before I got into NVC. And I don't think we don't want to scare people off that you're going to be asked to do all sorts of crazy movements and things when you come to the IT. It's really what Liv said about using your body. NVC does recognize your body as your source of information about your feelings and emotions and needs, that they all come from our body. And we want to approach the whole person and not just think of communication as something that comes from our heads entirely. In fact, that's the whole shift for me of NVC, is to more holistic, more body and mind and spirit together in how we communicate. So for me, it's really important to bring the body into whatever we're doing, particularly because of the intensity of this. It is intense in many ways, the IIT, and it can be very intense on your body. It's a lot of being in circle and not necessarily moving. So we want to really bring in a lot of movement as a way of caring for yourself and caring for your body as you go through this experience, whether that's walking, stretching, dancing, however you like to move, however it feels good to move, because that's an important part of self-care, I think, in these experiences. And just Dimitri or Miriam, did you want to share anything about that too before we close out?
I can just shortly share it. I'm very aligned with whatever you said already. And yeah, and I do think that there is a prerequisite. If you want to come, you need to stand on your head for at least 5 minutes. No, I'm joking. So my sentence that I really enjoy using is, if you have a body, you're welcome. And if you don't, then maybe not. But yeah, so it's like Liv said, and Mitch, it's basically what we want to experience. It's not just to learn how to use it as a tool, but just how to integrate it, to live it. So it's, for me, this is the switch, and this IITs and every IIT, and especially those who kind of emphasize the embodiment, are really supporting and enabling that for you to dive as deep as you want. And as Mitch often used, it's intense. It can be as intense as you wanna choose, but it can be quite deep. That's me.
I would actually like to add that I did one IIT like a few years after the 3 very intense one, and I slept through most of it. I had a very intense experience with Marshall role playing my mother, and it had a major impact on me. But it really made me just want to sleep. So I went to sessions, but I usually lay down on the floor and I slept. I was very much part. I was very much part of, but I really needed to digest. So sometimes that can also happen, and it's not something, we're taking as much as we can. I hope you don't sleep, but I did.
Miriam, any last words before we sign off with everybody? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I align with a lot of what you said. I think for me, one of the important thing is you talked about attention at the beginning or during the workshop, and it's this process of regularly coming back into putting our attention into our body and what it needs in the moment. So for example, when I facilitate workshop, I always tell people at any moment, you can stand up and start stretching. And even if I'm talking or we're doing an exercise, to really welcome what the body needs at every moment and allowing that movement to be possible in a group setting when there's often a very high pressure to everybody be sitting in the same position. Or what Liv is saying, like if your body feels like it needs to lie down and close your eyes, like that allowing the body to be in touch with the needs that are there in the moment. And another focus that I really appreciate too is the power of how moving our bodies is in a certain way have an influence on our states. And for me, as I'm a dancer too, and I've noticed over and over again that I feel in a certain state and I go for a walk and I start moving a lot and suddenly it shifts. So I'd love to bring that to the IIT, to this awareness that our bodies, our moving bodies, and the choices we make with our bodies have an influence on our feelings and can meet our needs in certain ways. So that's another kind of angle I'd love to bring.
Thank you, Miriam. And so let's all go and move our bodies a bit after being online here for a couple of hours. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we see you all in Croatia in a few months. And again, please reach out if there's anything we can do to help you in your journey to Croatia and any other questions you might have. So I welcome you all just to open up your mics and say a farewell and see you soon to everybody. So bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you
now.
in May.
See you in
Bye.
May. Bye.
Bye bye.
Joy.